All right, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for tuning in today to Lions Talk Live Saturday off-season edition. Yesterday we had a little bit of news for you guys come out. I don't know, I guess around noon or so, or somewhere right around that time yesterday. Today, not real breaking news or anything of that sort, but what we do have is speculation that's been going on, to be fair, about all week long. There are rumors coming out more and more that the Lions and Jared Goff are getting fairly close to an extension. The price, the amount, the years, all of that, it's speculation at this point. There's no concrete information, nothing that could be alluded to and say, hey, it looks like it's going to be this. It just sounds like it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 170 to 200 million dollars. I'm going to guess most of us are probably less of a fan of the 200 million, just because that's going to mean over 4 years you're going to eat up roughly 50 million a year. I also get quarterback salaries, like every other salary, they only go one way every year. They go up and up and up. If we can somehow re-sign Goff somewhere in the neighborhood, I'm hoping more like 160 over 4 years. That's probably not realistic, but if we get in the 170 range, I guess most of us could probably accept that and live with that. So I guess we'll wait and see. The other one, as you can tell from the thumbnail, is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Somewhere around a 3 to 4 year extension as well. This is going to be more in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 mil a year, which, to be fair, the guy's worth it. I mean, he's put in some work. He's the prototypical Lions draftee. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. And you know what? During his time here in Detroit, he's done just that. And I want to be clear also, Jared Goff seems to also fall in line as a prototypical Lions draftee. Obviously, he wasn't drafted by this regime, but he's come in and he's really endeared himself to the community, to the fan base. I mean, the fact that you could go to Western Michigan University hockey games and hear everybody chanting Jared Goff, Red Wings games, Pistons games. I mean, you get the gist. Although also, to be fair, during the Lions playoff run, I had friends who lived in Dallas and other parts of Texas, saying you could hear people chanting Jared Goff at high school events there. So take that with a grain of salt as well. Either way, though, it does seem like this regime is really on the move to securing players who have been loyal to the Detroit Lions, really demonstrate what the Lions regime wants this team to be. It looks like they're going to try to take care of them. Maybe that's also an indication to what Brad Holmes kind of said 2 weeks ago in his postseason presser, that, hey, there might not be all the splash moves that everybody's expecting or wanting for media purposes. Maybe we're just going to take care of our own guys and then continue to draft well. All right, a couple things before we get into the rest of the video. Now that you've heard my opening monologue, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're about, 7 subs away from hitting 5,800. So if you do your part to help out with that, I surely would be thankful. Also, if you enjoy the content of the video and the rest of the channel, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps us out a ton. Last but never least, let me tell you, outside of being a coach and a YouTuber, I'm a realtor. I have been since the early 90s. So if you're looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, give me a call or shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. If you want somebody who's going to look out for you, try to make sure you don't get gouged on the points on your mortgage, that you're not overspending on interest rates, that maybe there are assistance programs out there that help you defer some of the costs of your down payment. Give me a call. Hopefully you want somebody who's going to hopefully be able to save you maybe $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on your deal over the life of your contract. So give that a thought. Maybe shoot me a call, give me a text. You get the gist. All right. Let's go ahead and get into today's show, see what you guys got to say about St. Brown and Goff, maybe others. So let's kick it off. JDC, good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. Hopefully you're having a great morning, my friend. And let's see what the day brings for us as Lions fans. T-Born, greetings and salutations, all. Re-sign them both now. Get it done with and set the tone for the whole team this offseason. First, well, you might have been first, but maybe JDC snuck something in on you. But I get your point, though. Get them both signed, set a tone. Maybe you can get them to come down a little bit on the numbers, team-friendlier deals. And as we've talked about for a while now here on the show, it does feel like everybody's hoping that if one or two players does it, that other players will follow suit and then you'll have a cumulative savings that you can pass on to help retain more players. All right, Jason, greetings and salutations, Duke Crew. Superdome or bust, he says, with an exclamation point, and he's 100% right. Jason, I think you're spot on, man. If Detroit Lions this offseason, all eyes, all thoughts, all pathways have got to be to get to the Superdome, because that gets you to the Super Bowl this year. If you can do that, this team's in the right place. All right, Virgil, what do you got? Add Jason Mary. I like that. Superdome or bust, stealing that. We'll go ahead and steal it. Boom, says Jason. All right, Robert. Good morning, Dan and crew. Back at you, buddy. Hope you're having a great one. Hookadoo, morning, coach them to the Dew Crew. Everybody's having a good morning, and hopefully everybody's having their Circle K approved Mountain Dew. All right, Michael, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, coach and Dew Crew. Woo! The first woo of the show has been fired. All right, Michael, that's good news that the Lions are close in signing both players. Yeah, 100%. Because like we were just talking about, you want to take care of the guys that you're putting the bulk of the responsibilities for this revitalization into. Players around the league are all going to watch and notice, hey, if I go there and I make myself, part of this organization, whether it's draft, free agency, or whatever, they're going to take care of me. This regime, it would appear they may have a take care of our own first approach. We're not going to go out and, pay Montez Sweat all this money and give up, a second or first round pick for him because we want that money for these guys. We're not going to go out and get Chase Young because we want that money for these guys. And, Montez Sweat, I still think, man, that could have been something there. But I also get the regime's standpoint that they want to take care of their own. You know what? I get it. And this is going to be the first real opportunity Brad Holmes has to demonstrate that loyalty. That, hey, if we draft you, we bring you in, sign a free agent, you're now part of the family. We're making sure you're well compensated. Trump's a genius. What do you got? Woo! There you go, Trumps. All right, Boo. Good morning, Duke Crew. Superdome or bust! Exclamation point. Heard something about renegotiating a rookie contract. And is that what Green Bay did with Love? What's that all about? Yeah, they did. They extended his contract and then gave him a bit of a paid boost as well because he did that. What I'm anticipating will happen, and that's just speculation, anticipating, is that Penei Sewell, he's probably going to have something like you're alluding to, Boo, happen this offseason. I think they're going to try to lock him up. Amon-Ra St. Brown's kind of the same category. Goff, as you know, has 1 year left. So it is possible by signing some of these guys to renegotiated contracts now, you could actually bring down this year's cap number. I mean, to be fair, if you wanted to try to move the savings around from one player to the next, from 1 year to the next, you could do that to try to say, hey, we'll take the cap down a little bit this year, down a little bit more the following year by, more reworking this guy's contract, paying him more now, paying him less now, etc. All right, Detroit D, greetings, salutations, everyone. Hope you're having a good morning, my friend. Suzanne, good morning, everyone. I'd say golf around 170 over 4 isn't bad. Don't want 200 mil over 4 years. Yeah, and I get that's probably where most people are going to go. If we can get them closer to 40 mil a year, 45 mil a year, yeah, is it huge savings? No. But if you can get 40 million a year, I mean, you're saving probably about 10 a season over what he's realistically could expect to get on today's open market. But whatever they end up saving, whatever they can do under 50 is just more savings they can push somewhere else. So I get your point there, and yeah, that would be good if they could do it. Trump, probably JMO? Yeah, JMO probably is coming up on that point as well. Yeah. Papa, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Congrats on your team's win last night, Coach. 17-2 is nothing to sneeze at. No, we're having a very good season. We've got 3 games left in the regular season and the playoffs. We've got 1 game coming up this week, too, the final week of the season. Next Sunday will be the big one for us because that's where we get the phone call. We know we're going to make the playoffs. We do not know who we're going to face in the playoffs yet. So that's going to be the big one for us. So I'll be watching and waiting for that call Sunday night. All right, Detroit D, I'm not good with 200 mil for golf. Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people are. And I want to reiterate, because when I do the breaking news stories like yesterday, I get most people I'm reporting they're talking to team A or B. And if you watch sports, you get in any league. I don't care if it's Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, NHL, whatever. I mean, teams talk, general managers talk fairly often with other general managers to just test the waters, I guess you could say, see if somebody's open to an idea. With Goff in the 200 million, I'm not saying that's what he's going to get signed at. I'm saying that's what's being reported. And this is stuff that isn't real breaking news. That you've seen this information for a few days now across the interweb and stuff like that. Same with St. Brown. You've heard the speculations on ESPN or whatever. So I don't think anybody's really taking fault with this. I will say this, though. I do think Goff's got an outstanding opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to be the leader of this team. I want to stay in Detroit. I don't want to go out to New Orleans or Las Vegas or something like that. I know the situation I have here. I don't want to go through another changing of the teams. He just doesn't want to do it. So if he comes in and he signs for 4 years and 160, 170, something like that, I think that says a big thing about where the rest of the players on the team will probably follow suit. Because if your quarterback's doing it, then I think you'll see a trickle down effect to the receivers, the offensive line, etc. All right, Clark, what do you got? Good morning, Coach. I do think the team gets Goff and St. Brown signed soon. Will they sign Penei Sewell as well? Yeah, I think they will try to get him handled. I know somebody said J-Mo, but J-Mo was drafted a year after these guys, so he's still basically got 2 years left on his deal. So probably next offseason is when you would see it happen, which is going to line up fairly well, I would think, for J-Mo, just because he had a good year last year. The playoff loss was probably his best game of the season. It could have been a little bit better even as well. So if he can continue that trend next year, he's probably going to get paid. All right, Robert, at Coach fan, can high-paid players like quarterbacks restructure their contracts to help needs for the team in the following years of their contract? Yeah, they can renegotiate at any time. Then it comes down to, is there going to be any dead cap space implications, anything you put on the back end of the books? But yeah, Robert, to your point, they can renegotiate anybody's contract at any time. You got to get both parties to agree to it. That's usually the case. But if the team needs to free up money, you'll see them talk to whoever for it. I mean, one last point on this: you've already seen Patrick Mahomes renegotiate his big deal. I want to say twice. I know at least for certain once. So it's Patrick Mahomes doesn't want to lose as many players as he could by just absorbing most of the cap. So he's already trying to help the team out. All right, Lance, greetings and salutations. Any more thoughts on off-season moves this team is considering? We did the mock draft, whatever it was yesterday, the 2.0. So you saw those. I did think it was a defensive heavy draft, and it was just crazy because like a couple hours later, I don't know who it was. I want to say M Live or something like that, put out a defensive heavy mock draft. And no, I don't think they, copied us or anything like that. But I think most people believe the Lions are going to really focus on the D in the any offseason signings, free agency, I should say, and then the draft. So that's about as much news as I can give you right now. If something else comes up, obviously, later today or throughout the following week or days, then I'll get it over to you as quick as I can. All right, Trump, do any of you remember when there was no salary cap? Question mark. The Lions were cheap. Yes, they were. Dallas and Washington bought their success. Yeah, and if you're not old enough to remember, really the salary cap came in place, I want to say early 90s, right around 92 or 3, or right after the Lions basically won played in the NFC title game and lost to the Washington Redskins at that time. So, yeah, they didn't have a salary cap. You had a lot of teams. San Francisco comes to mind. You had Joe Montana as your starting quarterback and Steve Young as the backup, and that's probably an extreme, but they also had some real good linebackers backing up other, all-pro linebackers. So it was a different world then. It's not that case anymore, and it just, the NFL wants parity. They want every team to feel like when they go into a new season, they want that fan base, I should say, to feel like they got a chance. And that's also why they keep adding more and more slots to the playoffs, because you know what? it means really team or fans probably, unless you just have a horrible team, are going to stay interested in the season until really, I don't know, December. If you've done that, you've done the majority of the season before teams really start getting eliminated. All right, Pat. Trump's I do. You had all pros backing up all pros. Yeah, that 100% there. Robert, sounds like your team has a real chance to win a championship this year, Dan. We're gonna give it a go. I mean, we're a pretty balanced team between some sophomores, juniors, some seniors. So they're all learning, they're all developing, and we're having a little bit of fun. Somebody said to us last night, and we'll see if I'll have to double check this today, but if we score over 70 points one more time this year, then we'll match like a 50-some-year-old record for high scoring teams or something like that. And if we do it in 2 out of the remaining 3 games, then we'll set a new record that's been around in basketball, I guess, for at the high school level since somewhere like in the mid 70s. So kids are aware of it now and they're gunning for it. Let me tell you. Trump's it's complicated now. Yeah, it is. You got a lot of money and parts moving around consistently. Trey, what's good all? Question mark. Weekend is here, so I can catch the lives, re-sign both, and bring in a few more parts. This team is already close. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're a couple plays away against the 49ers from being in the Super Bowl. And I think most of us would agree if the Lions got to the Super Bowl this year, they had every opportunity to win it. And that's probably the part that's burning in the coaches, the front office, probably most of us fans, is that we watched that Super Bowl, or those of us who watched the Super Bowl, and said, absolutely, we could beat either one of these teams. So now that you've got about 60, maybe as much as 70 million in cap space available, you're going to have to spend a lot of it to re-sign some of your own guys. But it doesn't mean you don't have the room or flexibility, I should say, to go out and assign a few new parts to the team. Will there be the big splash signing? I don't know. I get everybody watching this wants, Hunter to come on over or somebody similar to him to help with the pass rush. We'll just have to wait and see if that can come to fruition. And we got morning coach and Duke Crew. If they sign Goff to a $200 million deal contract, it better be for 5 years. Yeah, 5 years, then obviously it becomes exponentially more cap friendly for the team. So you're 100% there. It would be interesting to me, Ed, if they signed him, as you suggest, to 5 years. How many of the years are basically guaranteed money? Can the team get out of it after X amount of years, etc.? Those details, that's what I'd want to see. Boo, what do you got? Trump, I remember those days. Things could be worse today. Yeah, they could be, 100%. Trump, yeah, stupid, 100%. Yep. All right, Ed, I do like the idea of taking care of Goff and St. Brown before free agency starts. Yeah, get them done, get them signed, set the tone for everybody else. You're also showing any possible signing free agents with Detroit. Hey, this is how we operate here. Look at what these guys are going to do. If you want to be a part of us, are you a good fit here? Et cetera, et cetera. Trump, 200 million is dumb. Yeah, it's that number is only going to go up, man. Let me tell you. Yeah, I would almost say this. You want to sign Goff sooner because it keeps the number down. As we get into free agency, Kirk Cousins is probably going to get paid. He's going to get paid pretty well. At 200 mil for 4 years, I want to say Goff, that would put him in the top 10 for pay of quarterbacks, but I don't even think he'd be in the top 5. So he'd be like, 7 or 6, something like that. Somebody else, is going to have to check that, confirm that, but that sounds right to me. All right, Robert, in my opinion, they are both worth it. Yeah, and they've earned it. There are going to be people, we all get it. There are going to be people that want somebody else other than Jared Goff to be the quarterback. It's just going to be tough. I mean, outside of his lack of ability to scramble, what's the weakness in the guy? And you're hiring a quarterback to throw the ball, not run the ball. Obviously, it helps, or it's another dimension, I should say, if you can scramble as well. But Jared Goff has done something here that nobody thought, at least if you're my age or roughly around there, they'd ever see. Winning multiple playoff games in a single season, let alone winning a playoff game. Let's be real. So he's done that. Yes, he's got a lot of weapons around him, but I don't know any successful quarterback that doesn't have weapons around him. So there are a few sometimes that can make players better than what they are. But those guys are incredibly rare. And unless we feel like we can get one of those guys, trade for Patrick Mahomes or something like that, then you got to do with what you got, man. All right, Doug, what do you got? An agent wants his cut. Yes, he has no conscience, really. Salaries are realities. St. Brown wants what he was worth this time around. This time around. I get it, man. And I'm not saying that St. Brown's going to take a huge pay cut, but if you can talk him all into it, and who knows, maybe talk Goff into, $3 million less than what he could command on the open market. Maybe you talk, St. Brown into, $2, maybe $3 million a year. If you can just do little bits like that across the board, where most players probably are going to be okay with it, that will be a palatable amount for me to sacrifice. But real quick, 2 or 3 guys now equals, 6 to 9 million. 6 to 9 million resigns a few other, at least one other guy. And if you can get 2 or 3 more guys to do it, well, now you resigned a second guy that maybe you would not have been able to. You get the gist, but we'll have to see what they do. Doug, Goff's not going to settle, I don't think. That's the big question mark. What's he willing to take to stay here, long term? Because really he's 20, 29, 28 right now. So if you sign him for 4 or 5 years, I mean, it doesn't mean he couldn't get another contract after that, but he do start getting up in age. All right, Trump's go with Hooker, build a team. There are going to be people that say that. Keep Goff for 1 year remaining on his contract. If you need to after that, you can always slap the franchise tag on him. So that gets you 2. And if you really want to do the franchise tag, you can do it 2 straight years. So that's 3 more years of Goff. At that point, you would have an idea where you're at with Hooker for sure. The other part of it is Hooker would be at the end of his rookie deal. So I guess if that's the route they go, I don't blame them. It's a business decision. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing, though. But what do you got? Salary specifics are important. What seems to be true 1 year can change the next. Yeah, and that's too often. We're all going to look out at the headline number. Hey, Goff gets 8 years at $3 billion or whatever. But a lot of contracts, the team has some leverage over where, hey, we can void this or that, or maybe you didn't hit certain incentives and it comes down, etc. So that's the nuts and bolts of the contracts that usually you and I, most of us, don't really get to see just because that's not revealed to us. Ed, what do you got? Is it smart to sign them both to long-term contracts? What do you think, Coach? I would say this with St. Brown, I'd be all for it just because he's young enough where, and the type of player he is, if you don't pay him, somebody else is. Goff, I like Goff. I do. I hope he remains here because you know what? He's pretty good. I just also think Goff is going to not get paid the same at other teams potentially as you would in Detroit, just because if he goes to, we'll just say, I don't know, New Orleans. I'll take that team. Are they going to pay him, and is he going to have the same amount of success there that he did here? Is it the system that helps Goff really elevate? Has he just matured as a quarterback? Which I do think there's a lot of truth to that. I think he's, like I said, 28, 29 years old. He's been in the league exponentially longer now. Jared Goff now is not the same quarterback he was towards the end of his time in Los Angeles. He's developed. But is he going to have the same weapons to work with? And I think Goff, that's where I probably would be pushing a little bit. Hey, I like that 170 a whole lot better than the 200. So see what they do. Hookadoo. They better sign St. Brown. I bought his jersey for $130. Fair enough. Yeah, they got to keep him around now. Yeah, he's committed. The Trump's, if 40 mil ain't enough, kick rocks. Goff is a product of a great team. Then that's kind of what I was alluding to. I think there's, with his relationship with the team, it's very much a symbiotic relationship. One can't do it without the other. And again, it's an agent's job to get your dude every penny he can get you, or they can get you. So you do want to pay attention to that, but I do think Goff needs to be very aware of his circumstances. Donkey Kong, Super Bowl or bust. That's right. Now it's an official show. Thank you for that, Donkey Kong. Thank you very much. And good morning to you, my friend. Doug, what do you got? If you want money, live and die by the agent. If you want a Super Bowl for your own legacy and for the fans' interest, do a reasonable deal. And that's where I want to believe Goff is definitely aware of what you just said, Doug. I think he's going to take a team-friendly deal. At least I really do hope. if he's out there breaking the bank or wanting to break the bank, me as a GM, I like Goff. I think he's dang good. But at that point, I'm probably saying, hey, we're going to wait on this to see what Hooker can do in this OTAs, preseason, etc. Because you got Goff guaranteed for 3 more years if you really want it. 1 year under this current contract, which at today's market value, Goff's current contract is a home run for the Lions. And then if I have to franchise him for 1 more year, I will. But you know my thoughts on that now, Doug, if you didn't already. Trump's, I hope there is an out in the contract if we have buyer's remorse. Yeah, and that's probably one thing that you would have with Goff is at least that I'd want to see if they've re-signed him now to 3 or 4 years. Really, how real is that contract? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Whatever it may be. So I'd want to know the nuts and bolts of it all. Michael, one thing, Sheila is not going to let this team fail anymore. There's still work to improve on, however, keep the team intact moving forward. Woo! There you go. Moving forwards. Excuse me, Michael. And yeah, I think she's all in. She's in it to win it. Unlike, and it's no disrespect to William Clay, her dad, or her mom, or anything like that. It's just even her brother. I always thought her brother would be the heir apparent to run the franchise. But, for whatever reasons, I just think he's more interested in Ford Motor than he is the Detroit Lions. And, if that's his thing, it's his thing. But she's in this thing to win it. She's emotionally invested, and that's what I'd like to see. It's not that her family wasn't, but she's all in it. She's laser locked. So I'm with you there, Michael. I think she's going to do everything she can to improve the facilities, to improve the turf, the fan experience, the product on the field, make it a place for coaches to want to come. You get the gist, but she's in this to win this. Doug, can't have a roster full of Super Bowl quality players, including OL men, if you get selfish. Yeah, 100%. Teams define what we built. Team defines what we built. We'll see what happens. Same toke, perform, get paid. Yeah, and I think you'll see most of the players. You're not going to be able to resign everybody. You've just had too many great drafts for that to reasonably be an expectation. But I do think all eyes are on Jared Goff right now. What are you going to do? Are you going to be the guy willing to fall on the barbed wire to lead this team so that, other players can get paid and go over the barbed wire? And you get the gist with my take there. But we're going to find out what happens this offseason, and I hope it does stay somewhere around the 160, 170 for 4 years. If he does that for 5 years, man, that'd be even better. All right, Trump, get J-Mo to resign for less money. Boy, I don't know if they'll be able to do that when he's on that rookie contract. So, I mean, he's got a nice, first round rookie contract, but I would say I'm guessing they're not going to touch anything with him until after what they see what he does next year. Continues to rise and perform, develop, then he's going to get paid. Pierce, for Goff, 160 to 170, I'm fine. Yeah, especially if it's like 4 years or so. Doug, what do you got? Goff isn't a $50 million quarterback without a cast of good players. He needs to realize he won't stand up without a paid supporting cast. Yeah, and he's got to be aware of that. I'm guessing he's aware of that. We'll see how much he signs for, if he signs. All right, David Montgomery, I just got a 1-year extension on the Lolo. I just talked to Jalen Johnson. He wants to come to Detroit. Man, that would be a great fit if you get him to come on over to Detroit. And David, man, if you can work your magic, you maybe send out a few good texts, maybe a few good phone calls and get him to come on over, that would be a huge win for the Lions. I know the Bears are going to fight that, though, every way they can because they don't want another Bear coming over to Detroit, I'm guessing. All right, Pierce. And also, Coach, you did this topic earlier in the week, but Hendon Hooker is 26, so time is not on his side. No, the good thing for Hooker is he's a quarterback, and as we all know now, I mean, you've had Tom Brady go to 45. Rodgers is going to be 41 this next season. I get Warren Moon played until he was like 42 or something like that. With Hooker, I think you could still get a decade reasonably out of him, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm curious what they'll do with him and what he'll earn. How about that? What he'll earn this offseason. Doug, what do you got? Goff is not a generational talent. No, he's not. he can be replaced in this offense. He needs to realize being a leader is better than being a toothless god. Yeah, he's not a Patrick Mahomes. I don't know, man. I mean, he's not a lot of different quarterbacks, so I shouldn't say a lot, but he's not in that level of quarterback play. He's no Josh Allen, etc. He's a real good quarterback. Now, is that top 10, top 5? Probably somewhere in that conversation, the way he's played here in Detroit. And to be fair, even when he was with the Rams, he had a couple seasons where you could say, yeah, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He was in the MVP conversation. So he's done it with 2 teams. He's done it now over an extended period of time. He's, like I said, he's probably not the top, 2 or 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league. He may never be that. But the problem is, if you move on from Goff, how far down the list do you go as far as who you replace him with? Do you want to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo? What if Hooker isn't what some of us hope he's going to be? That's the great mystery, I guess, the Lions front office would face, is if you move on from Goff, do you risk actually taking a significant downturn at the quarterback spot? And that's probably the worst spot in all the league to get significantly worse at. Hookadoo. Goff said a few weeks ago he has made enough money. He just wants to play with a great team. Go Lions. Yeah, and that's where I'd say this. He says it. Now we just need to see him support that statement by signing for a particular deal. It's going to be real interesting. I mean, if he's going to go full Tom Brady and maybe sign for like 15 or 20 mil a year, which I get everybody watching the show, you'd be like, man, get me the pen. Where do I sign? But if he does that as an NFL starting quarterback, then I would say this fan base really needs to embrace this guy, because he just gave us 20, 30 million or roughly there around to use on other players. So we'll see what he does. Hopefully he is that dude. Doug Jamo is ridiculous to be even talking. He's just getting started after a very slow start. Yeah, and we'll see what happens. I think we've got to get through next season to see where he's going to be with things. Harrisville, what do you got? Cap and salaries go up all the time. They do. Better to get new contracts and extensions done sooner than later. Yeah, I 100% agree with that, because as your point, every time you wait, every day you wait, somebody else is going to sign to push those numbers up. So, get it done sooner versus later. All right, Doug, Mahomes is making so much on endorsements. Of course, he is smart enough to know where his bread success is buttered. And that's one of the things. It's not like, say, 15 or 20 years ago. Most of these guys, they know if they're associated with winning championships or being, one of the better players in the league, you're going to get your Subways, you're going to get your Domino's Pizza, you're going to get whoever to sign you to endorsement deals, which defers. And that's, we talked about Tom Brady earlier. That's why he could keep taking those team-friendly deals, because he was making so much money on everything else, Hurts or whoever. So I think you're spot on. If this team can get to where they're winning again and again and again and win a few Super Bowls, most of the star players are going to make more money through endorsements than they will through their NFL contracts. So they are probably, in their representation for all those type of players has evolved over time, where, yes, I still need to get you wins, or paid contracts or whatever, but let's understand we can get you more money if you're consistently viewed as a winner of championships. So you're spot on with that. Doug, good morning, Duke Crew. Super Bowl or bust? 100%, Anthony. 100% with that. So hopefully you're having a great morning, my friend. All right, David, this is the best locker room I've ever been a part of. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I hope you spread the word to some of your friends. All right, Robert G., I thought that was the case with renegotiating contracts. With that said, if Goff gets $200 million it's just a number. Like you said, how Patrick Mahomes renegotiated contract to help them team. Yeah. And I want to say he made it through not even a full season before he executed the first renegotiation. So, whatever they signed for, it's great headlines, but it doesn't mean it can't be altered down the road. Anthony, Doobie and a coffee. All right. Well, enjoy and welcome to the show. Hopefully having a nice stress-free morning. All right, Robert, are you really Dave Montgomery? Question mark. Sorry, but it's hard to believe. Hey, who knows, man? Only he knows. We'll go with that. Robert, if you are really Dave Montgomery, you are one of the best additions to the Lions. Yeah, he has been. And Big M, I'll say this. You've brought a whole lot to the team, and I think all the fans are really behind you. So thanks for that. Taylor made. I remember when the Lions signed Pat Swilling. Seemed like a big deal for the defense. Yeah, and unfortunately, man, Pat. I mean, he wasn't bad. He just wasn't what he was in New Orleans, and there lies the problem. The Lions were really they were making that push to get into the Super Bowl. They brought him in. You know, they had a couple more good drafts, but unfortunately, Big Pat he was meh. He wasn't great. All right, at least in Detroit, I should say. Anthony agreed at Robert. Yeah, Robert, thumbs up. All right. Matthew, give Goff a contract 160 million with incentives that take him to 200 million. If we can get to a Super Bowl, there we go. Super Bowl or bust. I like the way you're thinking. You know what? You get us there, we'll get you paid. That's not a bad idea, man, at all. Trump, I would make Goff play out his contract, then tag him for 1 year and move on. All right, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I could see it happening. Is that still you? This is the first contract Goff has had on his terms since being sold like a dog to the Lions. Yeah, this is also true. I mean, think about Jared Goff, man. He went from being in the Super Bowl where, everybody puts the blame on you for it, which I would say in hindsight now, people probably don't think that. I mean, what's his name? Cook dropped 2 different touchdown passes, or it should have been touchdown passes, which would have won you the Super Bowl. If that happens, Goff's probably still in LA, but it didn't happen. Goff got traded. And of all places, you get traded to the LA Clippers of the NFL, or at least what used to be the LA Clippers of the NFL, Detroit Lions. But I would say this, he went through all that mud. He was down and out, and now he has risen like a phoenix along with a franchise. And if he takes a real team-friendly deal, I mean, this fan base, for the most part, was already behind him. That would just push him over the top, I would think, in Detroit. I mean, he would become iconic to a certain degree if he does that, assuming he follows it up by getting the team to the Super Bowl. So see what shakes out. All right, Michael, howdy, Dan, Lions faithful, back at you, buddy. Hopefully you're having a great morning. Pierce and Hooker would be almost 30 if you went the route and franchised Goff for 2 years and letting him play out his contract. Yeah, and at that point, you probably got Hooker for, I don't know, 4 to 8 years. I mean, 8 might be extreme, but you get it in that time frame. You would have him for a while. Maybe you have him and you develop somebody else to be the long-term answer, but who knows? I mean, really, we all draft a quarterback thinking, hey, we can get 10, 15 years out of him, but really look around the league. How often does that really happen? Anthony, listening, trying to figure out Goff contract is senseless. Brad Holmes is going to make it all work. These players, I believe, first is be in Super Bowl and win second money. They will negotiate to get both. Yeah, they'll all work together. I have no doubt about that. All right, Anthony, my Brown jersey, 170 at game. Yep. We got to make sure St. Brown stays with the team then, right? So you guys still have those jerseys on. Doug, my only concern is Goff is really, really at his peak and has no footwork to escape. In the dollars spent, he has to realize without an expensive offensive line. Yeah, if the Lions lose some of that offensive line, Goff is going to not be the beneficiary of that. He's going to actually go down with that. So you got to keep the line strong. You got to put some product out there to help protect Goff. But as we all have seen, if you got the right pieces around Goff, he's definitely a serviceable NFL quarterback. Trump, Lions hold all the power in the Goff situation. I would agree with that. I would agree that if they don't hold it all, they hold the vast majority of it. Shannon, good morning. Good morning to you too. Hopefully I'm a great one. All right, Trump's Russ Thomas was a huge tightwad. Yeah. And one question I've always had over the decades is Thomas, I got to imagine the Fords were going to let him spend money because Mr. Clay, William Clay, I should say, he seemed okay with it. Team wanted to do it. Team wanted to go after it. I don't think he ever really fought him on it. He was pretty hands off from what I could tell. Now, maybe behind closed doors, it was something different, but I mean, at this point, this is all ancient history. All right, Brent agrees. Salutations, Coach Duke Crew. Goff's only as good as our offensive line lets him be. There's a lot of truth that he's smart enough to know that. Yeah, I would think so, and I hope you keep healing up, buddy. How you doing? Are you basically getting better every day? You back to full strength? Let us know, man. Doug, there is only so much money to spend. We all want to add a cornerback and edge and pay our O-line. That money comes from somewhere, no matter what Sheila wants to spread. Yeah, 100%. 100% there. Ed, I think the NFL should increase rosters from 53 to 55, keep teams competitive during the game. Uh, there's some take to that for sure. I'll let the NFL decide where they go with that. The practice squad has been a big boost to teams, though, so maybe there's some argument that that's basically where you're going with things, but we'll see where they go with it if they ever increase to 55. Doug Goff is on the lead. Is the lead on all this really? Yeah, he's got to take the lead, and all eyes are going to be on him. What he signs for or doesn't sign for, yeah, everybody's going to be paying attention to that for sure. Trump, an interesting thing would be if they all got paid the same and you could keep teams together and really build. Yeah, it's if pro sports could ever go to some format like that, like you got paid by your pay went up for the years you've been in the league, that would be something. But I think we all get it. The agents are never going to allow that to happen. Dennis, good morning. Back at you. I hope you're having a good morning. Anthony, yeah. Do you really think they've drafted Hooker just to sit on the sidelines? If nothing else, it's insurance, right? Because if he's now your backup, something happens to Goff, I'm going to guess you have the belief he's going to come in and do something, pretty well for the team. He's going to be able to be insurance or whatever have you. All right, Doug, what do you got? Hendon was insurance for a third-round pick, leverage as much as anything. Yeah, and we've talked about it before on the show. You could see as soon as Hooker was drafted by Detroit, I want to say it was like the next, 2 or 3, maybe 4 teams all traded out. So everybody apparently wanted to go get Hooker. And let's also be fair to Hendon Hooker. If he didn't have that knee injury, would he have been a third rounder? Probably not. Second rounder? I think so. Maybe even a late first rounder. It's real possible for sure. Drooks, what do you got? Greetings, salutations, Coach Dan. How much extra money did the Lions make by hosting 2 playoff games along with hosting the draft? The draft, I don't know, just because I don't really know if there's a metrics, I guess you could say, for it. There's probably somebody who's got a report out there. I'm not privy to it. As far as what the Lions made, my guess is probably around 8 to 10 million per game that they were able to keep in-house after taking off all expenditures. As far as the Metro Detroit or the surrounding area of Detroit, I know there were reports that were saying that brought in revenue around 20 million to the area, not the team, but the area. So it was a nice little windfall for the greater Detroit area. The team, like I said, after all things paid out, my guess is they're probably getting somewhere around 8 million or, give or take a million or two around that. So what your gross was, I don't know, man, probably around 15 mil per game. But then again, you got to pay out. So keep that in mind. All right, Anthony, if you watch to the end, the season, Brad Holmes interviewed towards the end of it, he Droz mentioned about trading the 29th pick. He did, and that's why yesterday's video, the breaking news video, and it was just a guess on my part that they're probably looking at trading the 29th pick in part of that package. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying the Lions are going to trade with Carolina. I'm saying they talked to Carolina, but it would make sense to me. You get a player that you could probably use in a position of need, still on a rookie contract, while accumulating some other draft picks, which I think is more probably Brad Holmes' MO at this point. He wants multiple draft picks to hit different things. You're going to be able to fill in a lot of spots of need while keeping, here's the other thought, keeping costs down for some of those backups. You're always trying to balance the book. You're always trying to keep money in play. And by bringing in a bunch of rookies on rookie deals, especially if they're, say, third, fourth, fifth, sixth rounders, you can keep the special teams players around. You can keep the depth at different spots young and fresh while keeping your overall salary cap just a little bit lower. All right, Michael. George Blanda played until he was 48, so 26 seasons. Yeah, that I did not consider that one, but you may be correct on that. So good point there. Doug, what do you got? 40 million plus the Super Bowl and the endorsements and some guaranteed money should get a deal done. Yeah, and if you get somewhere around there, I think you're pretty spot on there, Doug. Boo, what do you got? David, is that really you? Welcome to the Dew Crew. Yes, and Dave Montgomery is part of the Dew Crew now, so welcome to the show and to the crew. Anthony, 20 million or so. Fair enough. Trump, and that was when they decked QBs. Yeah, when they used to lay him out and try to knock him out. Other teams' quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard. One of the most infamous lines ever in the NFL. Anthony, I wouldn't be surprised that both say hundreds and 20 million for 4 years guaranteed. Yeah, it could happen. Yeah, 20 million guaranteed. Pierce, Anthony, that'd be great. 120 fully guaranteed for 30 a year. Yeah, if we could get anything around that, yeah, I would say I'd be all in at that point because he's almost taking a pay cut then in order to sign that deal based on his current salary. It'd be pretty close. Brandon, the Fords have a ton of endorsement opportunities. Why not give them to the players to reduce the salary, the cap costs? I think they can, but they also have to be careful because I know the NFL has some verbiage regarding that just to prevent that kind of situation for teams that also have other industries. Now, I know I've suggested in the past on the show, we've talked about this topic, Brandon, but what the Fords probably could do, if I wanted to be really thinking outside the box, is let's say I can't directly have the Ford Motor Company endorse this guy, but I've got some pull with some companies that, we do some endorsements or other deals with, say Subway. Well, Subway pays Goff or whoever an endorsement deal. I now do an endorsement deal with Subway, which basically you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Does it cost you anything? The problem solved. That's where I think there's some room in the loopholes of the NFL rules and guidelines pertaining stuff like that. Jason, how have we gotten to the place where we are paying a single human 20% of the $1 billion of to sling a ball? Good for him, but wow, go Lions. Yeah, it's the world we now live in, man. That's why insurance costs what it is, lawyers cost what they do. It's just everything goes one way, man. Up. Unless it's a delicious Mountain Dew from the Circle K every morning, that's still just 82 cents and has been for, man, I'd say 15 years or more now. So one of the craziest deals in all the world in my eyes. All right. Pierce, Jason, most humans aren't risking long-term injuries for a game. Yeah, this is also true. And, the other part is look at how much the NFL is making off these games. The NFL players are pro athletes. They're basically the gladiators of our times, especially in the NFL. There is legitimate risk where somebody could have a debilitating injury, either to the head, their life, the rest of their body. So I get it. I mean, those guys probably more than most other sports, earn their paychecks. And I get it's crazy to think somebody can get, $500 million for throwing the football around. But hey, they're also bringing in a lot of money to that team. Food for thought. All right, Doug, just thinking about the total roster money for the 57 world champion Lions. Yeah, I'm going to guess it was like 40,000 a season for back then, but don't hold me to that. Somebody's going to have to do a deep dive on that because I honestly don't know. I'm speculating. Ludell, spinning wheels, not really going anywhere, baby Goff. Fair enough. All right. JDC, -1 below here. Someone please turn on the furnace outside. I don't know what it is here yet. Wait, it says on the computer it's 19 and cloudy today. So there you go. We're having a heat boom versus you. Garrett Green's sanitation, exclamation point. With Blau leaving to be an assistant quarterback coach, do you think we use one of our draft picks to get another quarterback or find someone elsewhere? That's a fair question. I don't think we'll use a draft pick, but maybe an undrafted free agent or something like that. Somebody to come in and be the number 3 quarterback. I think there's some opportunity with that. It would be my anticipation, and that's all it is, that just with Hooker back there, there's probably not a huge need, at least in the Lions' eyes, to go out and do something other than if you want to bring in a third one just for competition. All right, Trump, they made tons of money. Yeah, they do. They do. Anthony, I know those parking lot attendants made money at $100 a pop. Yeah, and everybody gets paid, right? Nobody works for free, or at least very few people. So to your point, yeah, they're all sharing the wealth to a degree. Brent, healing slowly but surely from surgery. Doc says about 2 more weeks until close to normal. Channeling my inner Frank Ragnow and fighting through it. Well, good for you, man, and I'm glad you're on the mend and getting better. Anthony, that is just a straight ripoff. what they charge for parking. Yeah, they know what's coming. They know everybody's got to put those cars somewhere. So I get it, man. JDC cash, yeah, cash bags. Anthony, yeah, I would imagine there's a cap on that too. Unfortunately, man, I got bad news for you. I don't think there is. Robert, sounds great. Brent, yeah, 100%. Glad he's doing better. Doug, never underestimate the value of an extra third. Jonah Jackson or fourth St. Brown pick. Number 29 is one of these and a cornerback or edge or deal starter. And Doug, I think that's if yesterday's video or news I put out comes to fruition, whether it's with that team or whoever, I think that's ultimately where they're trying to go. You're trying to pick up a part in this scenario, J.C. Horn, that helps a need. He doesn't have quite the value other guys do because of his injury history. So stop me when you heard this before. Brad Holmes is gambling on an injured player. So you're able to get a player who's still on a rookie deal. And if you can pick up, say, a third and a fourth along with that, you're probably okay with it, giving your scouting department, because now you're going to get 3 players versus 1, and I get you're always looking to improve the team and keep quality depth on the team. So we'll see if that's what happens. I have no idea if that's what happened. I just know that they talked, I should say. Dennis, hit that like button, people. Fellas, yeah, if you haven't yet liked the show, please consider doing so. Trump, what do you got? Can't wait to see the second year improvement of our rookies. Yeah, that's a great point, because I almost wanted to do a video today on the rookie class. Really, where will they be a year from now? Can you imagine the difference Gibbs is going to have? Campbell's going to have. Laporta. Man, can Laporta and Gibbs, how much better could they get? That's the crazy part. Brian Branch, how much more does he ascend up the list? So it'll be a real interesting watch. Broderick Martin, Kobe Scoresdale, Green. I mean, yeah, where do they all end up being? Patrick, it could be Goff maybe more interested in job security and loyalty with a team he likes to play for. Yeah, and I think there's a real case to be made for that. Of course, we'll get that once he signs, or if he signs the contract and a new deal where those numbers come in. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Is that still you? Brendan Curses, all right, fair enough. Robert, well, enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you go enjoy your day and have a great one. JDC, Brent DeWitt, keep on trucking 100%. Trump, LOL, climbing roofs, wearing body down 40 years, hard labor. Where is my 50 million? Yeah, we got to get you some pricier roofs, right? Taylor, Mel Farr got a Ford dealership on Greenfield and 10 Mile. So maybe those opportunities still exist. Yeah, maybe. If you're wise with the money, hey, go for it. But, like I said earlier in the show, the cost of almost everything only goes one way. And that's, I'm going to be 52 later this year. And I look back at stuff that I thought was expensive when I was 20. It's the price tag changes, maybe the overall value, not as much, but I can remember 89 cents for a gallon of gas, and probably not ever seeing that again. All right, here we go. Pickering, Dan would have to only disagree on Gladiators and football. Still, NHL is far more injury prone and 80 plus games a year. That is also true. Yeah, you are. NHL, well, I don't cover it a ton, or never, I should say I never did cover it a ton. Those guys get hammered a lot too. It's a very physical sport. And yeah, you're playing a few more games, more than a few more. All right, Doug, what do you got? Never underestimate the scouting and undrafted free agents. It's Holmes' ability. Yeah, and that's where I think if they do trade out of 29th, and even before yesterday's report, I was saying to you guys, I believe if one of the quarterbacks slides down to 29th, you're going to see the Lions, if somebody hasn't traded up to jump frog that 29th pick and take a quarterback, the Lions are going to be in play for it there. Somebody's going to want to get that 5th-year option on a developmental quarterback. So could it happen? Yeah. And what would we get? Who knows? We'll wait and see. But I can definitely see Brad Holmes trading out of that spot, irregardless of the situation, just to acquire more draft capital. Dennis, 29th pick has always been a golden pick because of the 5th-year option. 100%. Yeah, we think alike on that. All right, Boo, can't underestimate the financial benefits of bringing on a winning team, endorsement-wise. Yeah, if you're associated with winning, companies want to associate with you because they want to be viewed in the same light. Mr. Nico, in Brad Holmes, we trust. In Detroit, we trust. in Coach Do we trust. Number one, Do, number one, pride. All right, I'll go with that. And thanks for that very much, man. That was pretty slick. All right, Anthony, you can't believe they've done their homework on Horn. He was the 8th overall in 2021, and that's a deal, I think. Yeah, and they'd have to believe that there's more upside to the deal than risk of breaking even or any chance at downside. So in the scenario in yesterday's video, all right, you get a rookie contract guy, a cornerback who fits the desired system your defense coordinator wants to run. He's physical. Yes, he's had some hamstring and other injuries, but you get out there and you can get a couple additional picks out of it. Because obviously, if you pay those, let's just say it's like the scenario I mentioned earlier, it's a 3rd and 4th rounder plus Horn. Well, that 3rd and 4th rounder is going to get paid a whole lot less than the number 29th overall pick in the 1st round. So there's that aspect of things as well. Michael, thanks, Dan, for a great show. Exclamation point. Have a good day. You too, man. Hope you have a great day. Doug, Patrick says it all. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Pierce and Goff or whoever brings a Super Bowl to Detroit, automatic Hall of Famer. 1,000%. Yeah, that person will never buy a Mountain Dew in the state of Michigan again. So, all right, guys, it's been almost an hour. I'm going to wrap this one up. Go ahead and get out of here. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're literally like less than 10 subs away from 5,800. So if you do your part with that, I surely would be thankful. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button. If there's some breaking news or whatever later today, I'll try to get it to you. Otherwise, I'll see you all tomorrow morning on the next Lions Talk Live. Have a great show. Thanks for that, Dr. Detroit and Ed. Woo! Just for you. Take care, all.